Check, check. Kia ora, everybody. Could we just have your attention, please? Could we start taking our seats to begin this hui in 2 minutes? Thank you. What? No. Yeah, we'll go.
So you won't stay on the stage?
No. I've got to find the cat. O ka te rā ke rongi tuku mihi ki a tātou, e te whānau o whakatū, motu eka era o te tau o te waka, kua tai mai nei ki tēnei hui. Nō reira tēnā koutou. Hara mai, mai e matua moi o tātou, te toi mahatanga o te wā. Hau ko te aha te tūmana ko nei, ke hara mai, mautaringa whakarongo ki ngā kōrero ārika rika, ke hāpai te āpōpōtanga o tēnei parawhenua e haere ake nei. Nō reira, e mihi ake ki ngā mana kawanatanga, ngā mana a iwi, ngā mana a hapori. Nō reira, tēnā tātou, marongo a tātou, waka iki noa, kia ara tika ai te huarei mō tēnei kaupapa nei. Nō reira, ka inoi tātou. Kia tau te rangi Māori e ki tēnei hunga, ki tēnei hononga, ki tēnei whare. Ho mai te kaha, kia whai mōhiotanga i roto i ngā kōrero nei, kia hāpai te mana o ngā tangata i roto, no te kaha te kororia, mo ake tono ake, rire hau pai mariri ki a tātou. Thank you, everybody. E kororia, mai ngā rongo ki te whenua, akaro, pai e ki ngā tangata katoa. Ake ake, ke ake, Tuturu ofiti whakamaua kia tīna, haumi e hui e, tēnā tātou. Let's have a good hui. Kia ora. Rachel. Excuse me, Paulie.
Yep, I'll get you in a second, just a second. Okay, it's all good. Tēnā koutou katoa, ko Rachel Rees toku ingoa, ko rautu koro mātou whakatū. Nā mahare mai, tēnā koe Shane, thank you ngā mihi nui for the mihi today. I acknowledge ngā iwi o Te Tauihu, the iwi from across the Te Tauihu Rohi, and I acknowledge the community that's gathered here today, those of us who are joining on live stream. I'll invite Mayor Tim King to join me. We both just want to say a few words before we start to present some of the information. We have with us also the MP for Nelson, Rachel Boyack, Mr. Alec Lavertis, who is the Controller for Nelson Tasman Emergency Management, Roger Ball, the National Controller for NEMA, Grant Hayward, the District Manager for Fire and Emergency New Zealand, and Senior Sergeant Martin Tunley, who is here from the New Zealand Police. Tēnā koe, Barney Thomas, it's really good to have Barney with us as well. We have many experts sitting on the stage, and I'll come back to the knowledge that these people hold a little bit later on. The purpose of today is to make sure that we get information to you directly. I want to say to you, we would have liked to have been at the Trafalgar Centre today just to make it a little bit easier for residents who are closer to the centre of Nelson, but it was booked for a community event. And right now, I don't think our community needs any more disruption from what they're expecting. There were some positives to come through, and we wanted those to happen. So thank you for making the trek to come out to see us. Look, just a few words from me, and I'll hand over to Mayor Tim. This has been a really challenging last week for all of us, and I particularly want to acknowledge those of you who are not in your homes at the moment, and you're waiting to find out when you can go home. And we're going to try and give you some help with that today in terms of the information and the process that we're working through. But I do want to acknowledge the disruption and the anxiety. I also want to acknowledge our communities across the region who stepped up incredibly to provide support. Most people are staying with whānau, with friends. Our community has opened their front doors, put sheets on the spare bed, put a pillow on the sofa and found a space for you and kept you fed. But that's not a long-term solution, and so we're going to have to work through the process from here and the transition that we're going to go through to recover from this emergency event. I'm just going to hand over to Tim, because I'm conscious that we have people joining us from Golden Bay, some who will be also in our rural communities further out in Nelson as well, and I'll come back to them in a moment. Kia ora, Tim.
Kia ora, Rachel. Thank you. So just to acknowledge the wider community, the impact has been widely spread from our next door neighbours over in Marlborough, also facing significant challenges, and not for the first time in recent memory, also the West Coast and Bulla, who, while they may have dodged the worst of this event, are still recovering from the significant impacts that they've felt over the last 12 months. The Golden Bay community and those who have put in the time and effort over there over the last 4 or 5 days have done an amazing job. That community's rallied around the resources that have been supported nationally, and I'd just like to thank the Civil Defence nationally for the resources that they put into our region in advance of this event, and that's enabled Golden Bay and that community to be very self-resilient and the focus to be where it should have been over the last 2 or 3 days on the severely impacted communities of Central Nelson, North Nelson, and most recently Central Richmond. So thanks to all of those people who have been involved throughout that period of time. Just acknowledging, as Rachel has, that while there's a huge amount of resources put in from councils, from contractors, from the national NEMA support, this is often about communities and the amount of effort that's been put in by communities to help themselves, the number of photos you've seen on social media of communities out with shovels, working hard to clear stormwater drains, to clear debris, to help their neighbours, to provide accommodation and support. And while it's important that we set up those welfare centres for those who aren't able to, it's always amazing how few people need to utilise it because of the fact that they're supported so amazingly by their friends, family and the wider community. So thanks very much for everyone who's played a role in that. This is going to go on for some time in terms of the recovery, and so we'll continue to need that community support and input. So look forward to seeing our community, as it always does in these events, continuing to step up and help each other. Thanks very much.
Thanks, Tim. Now, I want to also acknowledge Paul Palmer, who's alongside me. He's our sign language interpreter today, and I'll try to speak a little more slowly, Paul, just to make it a little bit easier for you to interpret what I am saying. Before we get started, I just want to acknowledge the number of people that are involved in this event. And I just wonder if those of you who are not on the stage, if you're in the audience out in front of me, if you could just stand and give me a wave if you are part of our response. I can see a lot of people standing by the door, but I can see a lot of people here as well. The number of people that are standing up to actually look after this community is incredible, and I want to give them a round of applause. It is really a big team effort, and it's going to be a team effort over an extended period of time. You've heard Mr. Levertis talk to our communities about the recovery period, and it's going to be probably years until we get through this. But right now, we have some very immediate needs, and one of the most important needs we have is helping you get back into your homes and get back to your normal daily life. The way we're going to run this meeting today is that we're going to have a presentation from Alec. He's going to run through the steps that have been undertaken, what's happened. Then we're going to take some general questions about the broad event. If you have questions about your individual property and you need advice from the experts, they're going to be in the room after the discussion so you can meet with them one-on-one. And I know for many of you, that's actually what you've been wanting to do. You just want to have that one-on-one conversation. So you saw the number of people that stood up. They are knowledge holders. They'll be here to help you, and so will the people on the stage. And so we want to get you as much information as we can about your property and what's going to happen next. I think I'm thinking we'll probably try and spend sort of, we'll see how we go. We're here for as long as we need to be here for those personal questions. But we'll try about a half an hour for the presentation, but if there are more general questions and you've got questions that you want answered, we'll keep going. But I just want to make sure we've got enough time for you to have those one-on-one sessions. So I'm going to hand across now to, hopefully I've got my run sheet correctly in order, to Mr. Levertis, to Alec. And you all know him as Alec now, don't you? He's, so Alec, just come on up, and I just want to really acknowledge the importance of the controller role. The controllers pretty much bring everything together. They're managing all of the information, they're keeping the team lined up, and they're keeping us focused on our mission. So Alec, I want to thank you for that. We also have controllers operating in different parts of the system. We don't have today the controller who's been the major controller for Waka Kotahi, who's been also running a massive event across Nelson, Melbourne, Tasman. I just want to acknowledge Andrew James and the service that he's been giving in his role as well. But Alec, it's all yours.
Tēnā koutou, tēnā tātou katoa, nai mai haere mai ki tātou hui, ko Eric Levertis toko ingoa, ko Group Controller Nelson Tasman Civil Defence Group toko mahi. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you, Your Worships. Rachel Boyack, thank you very, very much. I would, first of all, I'd like to ask for your indulgence. Things have been moved very, very, very quickly, and I have got some notes, and I will be referring to them to make sure that I get all the key messages through and that I don't miss anything. I also want to reiterate and thank the community for their resilience, compassion and understanding. Without the community, we are nothing. And while I am the face of the civil defence and I'm the group controller, there are hundreds of people behind me that are actually doing the work, and a big shout out to them. Thank you very, very much. So as group controller, I thought it would be pertinent to tell you and start off by confirming our mission. Our mission is to get as many people back into their houses as fast as we can. Those aren't just idle words, they are my commitment, they are my priority, and that is the mission that we've given the EOC to make sure that happens. I give you assurances that we are also fully resourced across all disciplines. We are receiving support from all the EOCs across the country, too numerous to mention, but also from NEMA. I want to thank iwi, the response and the support agencies, and if I have to list them, I'm going to miss somebody out, and that would be unfair. So to all of you, and you know who you are, thank you very, very much. What I would like to do is, before we get to some of the nitty-gritty, I'd like to talk to you about what actually happened, why we did what we did, why we did what we did, and the effect on the infrastructure. And then I'll talk a little bit more in detail about the key questions in terms of houses, evacuations, what that means in terms of getting people back. So, in terms of the weather event, look, this was an unprecedented event, and I've said so before. I was in a conference call with the two mayors trying to convince them that we didn't need to declare an emergency, and within about 35 minutes, we went from absolutely everything normal to absolutely everything not normal. It was something that I've never seen before. No matter what information we have at the tips of our fingers, whether Mother Nature has the overriding decision-making process. Needless to say, the weather event sort of went as predicted, but at one stage it decided to stop moving, and it hovered over some key catchments, specifically the Mai Tai River catchment. What that meant was that the incessant rain and the intensity that we experienced, which was up to about 30 millimeters per hour, and with it not moving, created a massive issue for us. The effect of that was, and I'll start off in the Mai Tai River. the Mai Tai River went from a in 1 year event to something between an 80 and a 1 in 100 year event with about 460 cumecs of water coming down. I was not able to witness that firsthand, but I certainly saw videos, and it was in the EOC, so I knew what that meant. That was the first day. The second day, everything was meant to calm down, and I thought that maybe Mother Nature had a sting in her tail, and the same thing happened the second day. We went up to an 80-year weather event. The third day, we got caught out. Well, not so much caught out. We knew what was coming, and our river almost went to that again. So you can see we had 3 individual events that sort of surpassed absolutely everything that we have on our records. And one event on its own was unprecedented. To have 3 in a row, I can't even tell you what that means for us. The effect, though, however, the effect on our infrastructure has been significant. As I left the EOC, I asked for an update on the number of landslips that we have. The latest count is about 350 slips that are significant. That's excluding all the minor ones that we will have. We will only ever be able to understand the true effect of our landslips and the effect on our communities, and I include both Tasman and Nelson, once the rain has stopped and we are able to get resources in to see the effect of those landslips. I think those landslips will continue to move, considering that before these events, everything was already wet and sodden, and these have just added to that. What we did. So I took the unprecedented decision to evacuate a number of people after the first day, and I need to tell you that I did not take that decision lightly. I made that decision to protect family, houses, and lives, and I stand by that decision, and I think the second night was a prudent decision-making process as well, and I feel comfortable that we did that. I know some of you, and I'll get to some of those issues, have been asked to evacuate your houses and there has been no effect, but I'll come in terms of I'll come to actually the rationale behind that. Just in terms of infrastructure, the effect on our infrastructure has been immense. Our roading, raw water pipeline has up until this morning been down. I think there's about 3 or 4 slips on that. We need raw water from our roading catchments and our Mai Tai catchment to feed into the water treatment plant so that we can continue to supply potable water to the residents of Nelson. At this stage, we have a partial flow from our roading, and I'll be coming to the message of, please, we need to conserve water. We know that our roading, our Mai Tai raw water pipeline has been breached. We think that that will take weeks to rectify, but at this moment we can't get in there to ascertain the exact extent. Cut-off to the Mai Tai River has been severed in several places, and we need to ensure that the safety of the people undertaking those are maintained. Luckily, our council has been prudent enough to have a backup system, and we have a Mai Tai duplication raw water pipeline that is buried under the Mai Tai Road, but that has also come perilously close to being washed away. Thank goodness it hasn't, and I have been told that the work to effect repairs to the Mai Tai River Road is about 90% effective. So we still have water supplying to our water treatment plant, and I can give you assurances that the water that you can drink from your taps is absolutely 100% safe. We have a world-class water treatment plant. Please rely on it. You are okay. We have a number of sewerage overflows, and to be honest, we will have a number of sewerage overflows for the foreseeable future, both in Tasman and in Nelson. That is just as a result the volumes of water that we are dealing with. We also have several blockages and breaks on some of our rising mains, but I can give you assurances that while raw water, wastewater is discharging into our Tasman Bay, that we will have people looking at that to rectify that. So in terms of what we did, I've covered that off a little bit in terms of protecting people and property, and I do believe that that was the most prudent. And I understand a lot of you wouldn't have been affected by that, but in order for us to affect our evacuation plan, it's easier, unfortunately, to evacuate large groups as it is with individuals. Resources at a time of crisis are usually limited, especially after a couple of 13-hour shifts. Resources tend to run out. And that was the decision-making process in terms of making sure that we can have evacuations that are easy to effect. In terms of State Highway 6, as you know, we have a major slip on State Highway 6. I can tell you that State Highway 6 will be closed for the foreseeable future. I cannot, unfortunately, tell you when it will be opened, but I give you my assurances again that we have specialist geotechnical consultants and structural engineers looking at that slip. Once again, we need to make sure that the integrity of life and property is well maintained. What that means is that we only have one main arterial into and out of Nelson, and in addition to that, we know that access from Nelson to Blenheim and to Marlborough has been cut off. So that puts even greater effect to maintaining the integrity of our one arterial Waimea Road. I'll come to key messages a little bit later, but I'll reiterate this so I can get the message through. Other than conserve water, we please ask those who can work at home to work at home, please. It is important that we don't have traffic on Waimea Road, and it also affects the ability of St. John's, the police and FENS to actually access and our contractors to attend to critical sites, please. We are working very close with the schools as well as the Ministry of Education to make sure that schools can operate from home. Once again, a decision not taken lightly. We've realized we've just come out of COVID and we're just getting back to some normality with people starting to come back to schools and interact, and our education system getting back up and running. But unfortunately, we need to take preference in terms of protecting our road and corridor. I'll come up. Chris, if you could move that on, please. So, this is probably what everybody wants to hear. Over those 3 days, evacuation started off as a trickle. It went up to about 308 as we evacuated the Mai Tai region. We're currently at about 570 impacted properties. The process that we follow is we have a FENS, USAR, Urban Search and Rescue Rapid Response team that go through the houses, and they ascertain whether they can be occupied and or whether they require additional assessment. That additional assessment is via geotechnical, structural and building officer compliance from the two councils. We've also called in additional resources from around the country, but they come in after the USAR and they evaluate each property. The difficulty that we are facing at this moment in time is that we are facing properties that have been evacuated and that are impacted as a result of not just flooding, but also as a result of landslips. At this moment in time, we have 284 properties that have been assessed by USAR. You can do the maths, that's about just over 50%. We still have another 50% to go. It is especially in wet weather, it is a slow process. We have a bit of sun. We are expecting a little bit more rain this week, so that's also not going to assist us. but we have asked the USAR teams to make sure that they can get through those properties, as quick as they can. All indications are, at this moment in time, is that those USAR teams will be through with their assessments by 5 p.m. on Monday. As I said, the second tier is getting the geotech and the structural engineers and the building inspectors coming behind, going through in a lot more detail, and we anticipate that will be at least until Friday. I know that's not what you want to hear, but I understand your concern, and I do empathize, sympathize. I know what it's like, having experienced it, to be asked to leave your property. But please understand that we are not doing this to punish you. We are doing this because we have to follow a procedure. Of those 284 assessments from the USAR, 264 are white, which means that those are safe to go back and be occupied by the residents. And I understand a large portion, certainly in the Mai Tai area, have been allowed to go back. So that's the positive news. At this moment in time, 11 are yellow, which means they can be inhabited, but they need extensive work. On some of those yellows, the electricity supply has been cut off because the water has risen above safety levels in terms of power points. Thank you. And 9 are currently red. And in terms of those red, unfortunately, those houses will not be able to be reoccupied. We are aware that the list of impacted properties may increase, and I need to give you a reality check that may well be the case. And the reason is, while the sun's out now, we are expecting more rain, and not even with the more rain coming in, notwithstanding that, the slopes will continue to move. I need to tell you that we have an IIC, and I need to look that up because I have too many acronyms in my head at the moment. It's an incident, and I have gone blank. It is an incident information center. Thank you. Acronyms in civil defense are bad enough, but when the name has been changed 4 or 5 times, I forget which side of the ledger I'm on. So anyway, an incident information center up at the Trafalgar Centre that has been well received, and I understand at the peak about 100 people moved through. We ask you to please make use of that. There's a hot cup of tea, a shoulder to cry on, and people to answer your questions. So when we all disappear from today, the IIC is still open and will be your shoulder and your stick to lean on. So the question that people are asking is, that's fine, thank you very much for the update, but what does that mean for me? We are cognizant of the fact that people are concerned and worried about getting back into their properties. And as I've said, our mission is to get people back into their properties as rapidly as we can. We will endeavor to phone each and everybody that hasn't been allowed back into their houses as a matter of priority as we move through this process. We will not be waiting until we have completed the rest of the 50% from the USAR as well as from the geotechnical and structural. We will set up an independent office staffed by officers and volunteers that will be able to phone you and give you the message that will give you the information to either return to your house, and unfortunately some of that advice may be you may not be able to return quite yet, and or you may not be able to return at all. We do know that that will be a traumatic experience for you all, and we are putting our wraparound services. There will be a lot of those people sitting here today that are part of that wraparound services, and we are here to help, no matter how raw that is, no matter what you want to say, we are here to help you. In order to make sure that we actually can contact you, I do ask, please, that you let us know what your details are. You can either go to the IIC at Trafalgar Centre, or you can phone the Nelson City Council number on 546-0200, where we ask you to please phone in, give your telephone number, your name, and your address, property, be that a cell phone, an email, but please, somewhere where we can actually get hold of you. It's absolutely critical. You can go in person or make that phone call, and you will be received by somebody on the other line that is willing and able to help you. Chris. For the benefit of everybody, I need to please reiterate our key messages. This is going to be a long recovery, and that's been reiterated by both the Mayor of Tasman District Council and Nelson City Council. We will endeavour to make sure that we put in the necessary recovery to make sure we can get this through. But as I said, and as has been communicated, this is a long journey, and it's a long journey. We need to work together. We need to stay at home if possible. We need to keep people off the roads, please. This is a critical. We need to protect the ability of our roads, number one. Number two, for our emergency services and our contractors to access site, especially with more rain coming on. Three, please conserve water. Whilst we are back up and running, it doesn't take much for things to go bad again. And please conserve water. Be kind and help each other. I know that as things become less business as usual and they become more real, people will be potentially becoming frustrated. I ask you to be kind to each other, help each other. I see the resilience of the neighbours that are helping each other. I ask that at this stage, and we're busy working on a greater plan, but I ask, please, that the neighbours stay within their areas and help each other. You are extremely resilient, and I know that you will be able to help each other. And the reason I ask that is to keep people off the road. For those that are listening online, if you can either go to the Trafalgar Centre for the IIC, or once again phone the Nelson City Council to give your details. I would appreciate that. Chris? We have a mayoral relief fund up and running. And at this stage, all I can give you details is to go to our web link, shape.nelson.gov.nz/Mayor Relief Fund, to put money into that account. That will be managed by the Nelson City Council at this point in time. We still have to work through details of applications as well as the process, and I can give you assurances that while our mission is to get people in their houses, there's a separate group looking at what that process will be in terms of making applications and how you can access that fund. I ask for your indulgence and your patience in terms of as we work through that process. I think that's about it. Is it answering questions and answer? Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Alec. We really appreciate the material that you've gone through and the commitment from you and all of the Emergency Operations Centre teams and our key partners that we've been working with and continue to work with. I just want to acknowledge those residents who are in some of our more remote locations at the moment in Nelson North. Some of you we haven't been able to get access to. We are really aware of that, and we're working with our partners, particularly with our partners at Fire and Emergency New Zealand, to make sure that we're getting out to you as quickly as we can. So I just want to acknowledge it has not been easy to get access. As Alex said, the state highway beyond the urban area, right through across the Whangamoas, right into Marlborough, is severely damaged. So we've just got some access issues that we're having to work through. But planes have been up, and we'll make sure that we're getting to you as quickly as we can. Look, just last things to say, we do have a rahui across all of Te Tauihu, so you mustn't be in the water now. The water is not a safe place to be, and we need to be out of the water, so not in the sea. There is risk there that it will be contaminated because of the sewage overflows. And the other message, just from a health perspective, would be please be careful when you're doing your clean-up. Treat the soil, the puddles, treat all of those things as contaminated, and Health have asked for a special message around the real criticality. You've got to wash your hands, hand sanitise, be really careful. If you end up with tummy bugs and things, if you end up with those, Health want to know, we want those reported so we can start to try and manage those processes, but best you don't get sick in the first place. So just those messages through. And the last ones before we go to questions are, Alex talked about the fact that this is going to be a long-run thing, and we're currently still in a state of emergency. So the state of emergency still holds at the moment. We will eventually come out of a state of emergency, and we'll come out of what we call our response phase. And then we have to move into recovery phase, and we're going to go through a transition to do that. We are going to do that with you. So at no point in this event do you need to manage on your own, and I'm really encouraging people that, particularly if you find that your house is yellow or a red house, stickered, I'm going to say stickered because it's the terms we kind of have learnt to know. If that's the case, please don't try and manage this on your own. There is a lot of support for you, and we want to be alongside you, supporting you through the next steps for your property. I'm just going to check in, because there's one thing I think we're going to get a lot of questions on, and I think that's going to be actually around the slope and stability issues and how that process is operating. And Alex talked you through the steps and who goes first. And I'm going to put Grant Maxwell on the spot because I think he's going to be okay with this. Are you going to be all right with this, Grant? Grant is here, and Grant is our geotechnical lead who is leading up all the geotechs. And I think it would actually be really useful for you to hear just briefly from Grant about actually what they're doing, but also who we've got in the region to support the recovery. Thanks, Grant.
Sure. Kia ora everyone, Grant Maxwell. So I'm the geotechnical lead for the response for civil defence at the moment. I guess we've talked through details around how we've ramped up. So geotechnically, we're looking at landslides, obviously across the region, which we've not seen, and it's very unprecedented since 2011, which was the last time we saw something of this sort of scale. Working in the region at the moment, we've got people locally. We've called on pretty much every geotechnical person that we can find that's available. We've called in people from around, from Wellington, from Christchurch, and we'll continue to bring people in. At the moment, we've got about 25 people in the field. So they're out there looking at homes, looking at landslides, and trying to understand what the risks are. We've got a whole lot of process around what we're trying to do to capture that information, to be able to make really good decisions and feed that up through the control centre. It isn't easy, and I realise on site that you might see risks slightly differently to the way that we process them. There is reason for that, and I guess we're taking a conservative approach while there's still water coming down and there's still risk of rainfall, to make sure that we keep you safe and that those landslides that may be activated or looking to be activated, small amounts of water will reactivate very fast. So while we've still got water coming down, we're going to be reasonably conservative, but I guess the message is we've got a lot of people here and we're continuing to bring more in as we need them.
Thanks, Grant.
Is that right?
Very much. That's great. Thank you. All right, team. Tim, do you want to come back up and do the questions, or what do you want to do? If there's questions. Look, we'll open for questions. I just thought it was useful for Grant to give you a sense of how many people we've got out there at the moment. So there's a big team of people. And as Grant said, we haven't seen this since 2011. I went through that emergency event, and I'd have to say, yes, we had that in 2011, but it feels, and it is, the scale of this is so much bigger than it was in 2011, so we've got so many more sites that we're trying to deal with. So we'll open for questions. Tim and I, for us, we'll sort them out. If they're not, we'll find a very knowledgeable person here that can answer them. If they're about your individual property, just hold those questions, because we'll close off shortly, and then you'll be able to have those one-on-one conversations. So it's a usual thing, wave your hand and we'll, kia ora, we'll go down to the front row here. Actually, you could do that.
I don't understand how to explain this, but
It's good.
me and my wife were in Mai Tai Valley when our house went down, and we lost everything. It was so devastating, because it's been in our family for many generations, and we've lost everything because all we've got is just our bed to sleep in. And I'm just letting everyone know, just if anyone that could help us, that'll be really good financially, and we can just get us a new home. Please help us.
Thank you for being here, and we're all so sorry about what's happened, and we've got support for you right now. So if we've got our support there, so if we've got Red Cross here today, and we'll give you some support right now to make sure that you get some help. It's a very sad situation. Thank you. All right, who else have we got? Oh, straight ahead? All right, just in the... Thank you, Chris.
In 2011, the council opened up York Valley to get rid of tip material. Is that going to happen again? Because there's nowhere to take it at the moment.
All right. There's a question about where the material's going in the tip, to the tip. Who's able to answer that one? Thank you, Alec.
So the question was specifically about where contaminated material is going to be disposed of. Is that correct? Yep. So we're busy working on a plan. We understand that as people get back into their houses, whether they're white, yellow, or red, there will be a requirement to clean up. We are looking at, I've already had the discussion with the two mayors, as well as the chair of the regional landfill, that we will be looking at waiving fees at the transfer stations, as well as at our landfill to assist people. We are also looking at plans in terms of making provision where people can dump their stuff, and we are looking at putting a wraparound service to assist you. So we are aware as we start ramping up that people will be wanting to clean up. So it is on our list, and communications will be coming out very, very soon.
Thank you. Thank you. Right. Any other questions, general questions? Down in the front row again, and then we'll go to the row behind.
Yeah, question, obviously with several houses in the street that are affected, some red, some yellow, no white, have been asked to leave due to slippage. Just the report is when, obviously, those properties that aren't white, are we allowed straight back in, or do we have to wait for Geotech to come and check the slips from the upper area that are affecting all of those houses? And thank you, team, for your work that you have been doing.
Thank you. Right, here we go. Alex, it's Alec again.
And I know Grant will be dealing with the technical issues, but I just want to outline the process. We have a two-tiered process where we get in the urban search and rescue rapid responses. They followed then by the building inspectors, the geotech, and the structural engineers. As I've said, about half of those USARs have been done. I have all indications that the rest of those will be finished by 5 p.m. on Monday, but the more detailed inspections will be completed by the end of Friday. As and when we know whether your house is white or yellow or red, and if it's, you will receive a phone call. If it's white, it means that it is white from a whole range of perspectives, for flooding, from geotech, and it is okay to come back in. You will receive notification on that, and that's why I reiterate the process and the time frame. I ask you to please be patient as As Grant has indicated, we've got 25 geotechs. If we need more, we will get more. We've certainly got every single building consent officer in both councils, as well as from other councils, assisting us. There is only so much we can do, and only so fast that we can actually work. But you will be notified, and if it's a white, it means you can go back. If it's not white, what was your question? Sorry, sir?
We were asked to leave due to the slip coming by police, not by retail. So, yeah, it's not white, so that means free to move it.
No, if you have been asked to leave, it's in our system, and we will be assessing that, and we will be notifying you. Absolutely, and it's to protect. In this particular case, we may not be able to protect property because everything is so wet out there. But life is paramount.
Look, we'll do some individual follow-up after as well, just to run through for your property.
My question has been answered already. Thank you.
Oh, that's great. Okay, and then we've got right up the back here, and then we'll go back to the middle.
I live in Rye Valley and commute to work 5 days a week and for schooling as well. I haven't been home since Wednesday morning, and I'm understanding that State Highway 6 is closed for the foreseeable future. When will there be access to Rye Valley? And if State Highway 6 is going to be closed for the foreseeable, for people like me that commute, what does that mean for jobs and life in general?
I'm going to look for someone from Waka Kotahi to help us with this one. Do we have someone here from Waka Kotahi? We do. Here we go. No, we don't. Well, Alec, police may, I'm not sure if police can give us any further information on that one or not. Alec will be able to. I know at the moment there is work going to try and get that connection coming through, but Alec, if you've got anything further in terms of time frame, that would be helpful.
I realise that having our state highways severed is an inconvenience, but certainly to Blenheim it is just impossible. And I don't know how long that's going to take to fix up. We are busy working with Waka Kotahi and their contractors. As time goes by, we will have a better indication of that. Certainly with State Highway 6 along Rocks Road, it is a health and safety issue. We have to be able to assess the multiple slips that are up there and clearly understand that. And to do that, we need to understand how that slip is moving. That just doesn't happen overnight. And because we need to protect property as well as lives, State Highway 6 will remain closed as long as we need to do that. Unfortunately, I cannot tell you how long that will take, but I think we need to bank on the fact that State Highway is going to be closed for the foreseeable future.
And what we'll do is we'll just make sure someone connects with you just to help with support in the meantime, because obviously you're stuck and can't get to work. So I'm sure we've got someone from MSD or one of the other organisations. So hang around and we'll get you some more advice. Now down the middle, I think we were going nearly next time.
Thank you. Just got a couple of questions. So if a property is red flagged, does that mean a contractor can't enter it to clear debris?
It's not that straightforward. So just a minute, it sort of is and it isn't. Here we go, Alec.
So, yes, if your property is red stickered, we need to follow a process and see what we need to do, whether it's safe to enter. But at this moment in time, if a property is red stickered and if you have been advised as such, it means that nobody will have access to that property. What that means going forward is something that we need to work out with a whole range of agencies, because it may not even be safe to enter that property. But certainly if it's red stickered at the moment, yes, no access.
It said red flagged.
Red flagged, red stickered, same. If it's red, it is no access.
Okay, cool.
Unfortunately, I apologise for that.
No worries. The other thing was, when I went down to Trafalgar for the EQC, they didn't have we don't have the same GIS mapping, the public, that the council have. So I can measure the distance from the house using that GIS mapping system, top of the south maps. Can that be updated so that the public get the same maps as everyone else?
We'll certainly be working with EQC. One of the things that we're very, very cognizant of, we won't be publishing the details of the properties in terms of the colour coding. I just think we need to protect the integrity of the landowners, and it's going to be pretty stressful if people see their house potentially red and before they know it. So we really want to protect the integrity of the information, but certainly we will work with EQC and make sure that whatever data is required to accurately assess that, we will do that.
No, that's slightly different, I think, to what I was asking. What I meant was the building inspectors, when they go onto top of the south maps and open their GIS mapping, they have different overlays to the public. The public has an older map, and the buildings, they have a newer map. So if your property's been built sort of in the last 5 years or so, you can't actually use that map to measure it. Because
I understand your question, sir. We will make sure that the latest information is on the computer system.
Great. And last question. If the geotechnical assessors come in and they say that your property needs further evaluation, and then it needs some sort of engineered retaining, which will then require building consent and potentially resource consent, is there going to be a council process to speed that up?
Through the, I was going to say through the chair, sorry. It's so inbred in me, sorry. Yes, I'm actually looking at the my colleague, the group manager, Claire Barton, and she has nodded yes.
Yes.
To that question.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, I'll just go down the middle, I think. Yeah, down there. I think, yes, we got it.
What I was wanting to know was, we're a self-evacuation because we weren't slipped or flooded. We had another issue. Because of that, we didn't know we had to register until this morning, so we were able to register our evacuation. Does that follow the same process that everybody else is going through?
It's a very, very good point. So I suggest what you do is you register, and if it's not on that system, then you will get a phone call, and then you will be told that you can go back. And I realize, yes, some people have self-evacuated, and we really need to, you can imagine 500 and odd bits of information coming in when we've got to reassess has been difficult to process. But thank you very much. Register, and if it's not within our system, we will give you a telephone call to go back.
And I'll come across over here next.
Kia ora.
Kia ora.
I'm just very interested in the light of this event, when we think about climate change and global warming, the impact, you know, our infrastructure hasn't been able to manage this. And I want to know what sort of vision you have in terms of making sure that we future-proof Nelson for future events like this, that we can actually provide better infrastructure to housing. We've got housing that's been built, wanting to be built in Toi Toi, and the catchment area there is going to lead into the storm drains down there. And I'm wondering, if it can't cope with it now, how are you going to manage that? If we have this event now, we've got a long recovery, and how do you make this, how do you future-proof it so that we have a better way of dealing with the issues of water?
And, you know, that's the question that probably keeps every single person on this stage awake at night. But it's also the question that requires a whole of community to work together around what does that future look like? How are we going to be resilient communities? How are we going to grow? What are the next steps that we need to do to manage climate change? It's such a big question.
And sustainability.
Absolutely.
When you think about the integrity of housing, what do you think about the integrity of Papatūānuku?
It's a
and
very,
the way that things are being stripped out. You can't hold up a hill if it's got nothing to hold it up on. Simple stuff. Sustainability.
Look, it's a really critical question, and it's one that in terms of our teams that are working on at the moment, as they start to look at actually how we're going to grow and how we're going to build, they're putting in their climate change lens across all of that work. And we'll keep doing that. Right now, for our response to this emergency, we've got to be really focused on the needs of the people that are sitting in this room and the ones that we're talking to on live stream today. So our focus is here on people, but as we think about the future and actually what we're going to do through the recovery process, then the questions that you're asking are going to be very relevant to those decisions. Thank you. Down the front here.
Yeah, hello. Just a quick question. How can I find out what sticker my property has? Last night it was assessed, and the person there said he's going to red sticker it, but it was the first time someone had a look at it. So what I now try to find out is how can I find out what the status of my property is?
We'll send someone down to have a direct conversation with you. Okay? And then we'll go, down the back.
I'm here on behalf of a couple who's got COVID at the moment, but their home is affected by the flooding. I know it's a private area. Will council have a way of providing support or help in the cleanup on their driveway and all that, or even a discount price or half price for NELMAC to do that? If not at all free. And the second question is, have you got a Facebook page or 0800 number to link those who are looking for accommodation or place to rent while their house is being assessed or something like that? So, because I didn't see any 0800 number or Facebook page to link those people looking for accommodation, and we hope that those providing accommodation is not going to we'll have it for free or a discount, and it's not going to be an opportunity for money making for some landlords, and I hope not, because it's a really a state of emergency. So there's two questions there.
All right, there are
One's
two
cleanup.
questions.
Kia ora.
The first one,
Kia ora.
kia ora. The first one is around what support is available for people as they go through their cleanup. What's the wraparound that can be there, and the second one is what's available in terms of accommodation. And I'm going to look to Alec.
Well, certainly, as I indicated earlier, we're very cognizant of the fact that people are going to be moving back into their homes. And even if they are white sticker, there's a lot of mess around. And we are looking at putting some support around. I'm not too sure if you were here earlier. We're looking at waivering our transfer fees, landfill fees, so that you can dump your material. We need to do that in an ordered fashion, of course. We can't just go and dump that wherever we feel, but there will be a plan in place so that we certainly can assist. I'll also just take the punt. I know that I have asked everybody to conserve water, and I know that when you get back to your properties, there will be a lot of mud around. I ask you please not to take to your hose pipe and try and get that washed away, because that's the same water that's affecting our drinking water. And please, I need to ask you, clean up as well as you can, but try not use water. In terms of your second question, I will have somebody come and speak to you. Kim, if I could ask you just to make contact, and we'll better understand what you require and make sure that we address that.
Thank you. Part of the reason for the Mineral Relief Fund is actually to be available to help with costs. For people that don't have insurance, they need extra support. That's the purpose of one of the purposes of the Mineral Relief Fund, but we will work through that process. I just want to acknowledge, and I apologise, Damien, I missed acknowledging the Honourable Damien O'Connor, who's here, Minister of Primary Industries, Trade, and probably a whole bunch of other things. Damien, apologies, because I can remember those two. Just thank you for being here. I want to acknowledge the government support support that we've had right from the beginning of this event. We've had the Minister of Civil Defence here. We've had phone calls coming through from the Prime Minister. The support has just been absolutely outstanding. So thank you to both of our members of Parliament. Any other questions? We'll go the middle here and then back over here.
Good afternoon. I think my question is for Grant, and we're part of the affected community in Tahuna, and above Grenville Terrace is a natural spring, and that water flows down Day's Track all the time, even in dry weather. So I ask whether this spring coming up is actually having an impact on the Tahuna Nui Hills. And will a hydraulic engineer be looking at this with a view to potentially capping it? Because I believe that this spring is contributing towards the Tahuna Nui Hills instability.
Thank you. And I think what Grant's going to do is he's going to come down and have that conversation with you and any of the other, there'll be residents in Tahuna Nui who are here. So let's see if we can work through that, because I don't think it's going to be a 3-minute answer or even a 5-minute answer. But thank you for the question, it's important. Who else now? We had somebody over here, that's right.
Hi there. I'm from the Nile Street area, and our house got sort of hit in 2 ways. One from the Mai Tai River itself, but secondly from a blocked culvert causing massive mud and debris to come down from Cleveland Terrace. I spoke to the council this morning about having a digger come in to clear that driveway access so we can get the cleaning services in. And I was told basically because it's private that we just had to sort it ourselves. I just feel that that land has basically come from multiple sources, including council. And it would be helpful if the council actually cooperated a little bit with land owners there to get that cleared.
Thank you, and I was up there this morning. It's very muddy up at your place, and gumboots were almost right up to the top of the mud. We're going to come down and have a conversation about that. Both Rachel Boyack and myself had that conversation today, so we'll see what we can do to sort that one through. Thank you. Any more questions, or are we ready to go to individual conversations? I think probably the best thing we can do is to now move through to the individual conversations, because I know you'll have a lot of questions, and there's a lot of knowledge sitting here. Oh, one more. Kia ora, Murray.
Kia ora, Rachel. Hey, it's not a question, but if you're a bit peckish and you want your morale boosted, there's nothing like a hot sausage outside. So we'd absolutely love to see you for some kai outside.
Oh, good on you, Murray. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Well, I think thank you everyone for being here to hear the conversation. More conversations to be had. Just really want to thank the whole community for the way that you've supported each other. For all of those people that have been part of the response, I couldn't ask to work with a better team. They're just absolutely amazing. I'm going to invite our key partner, iwi representative Barney Thomas, to close today. Kia ora, Barney.
Kia ora tātou. Ko te mea tuatahi. Kaore e te mate kei wainunui o tātou. It means, what I said during the fires, we've lost no lives. So we must be all thankful. Nō reira, me noi tātou. Puri tia mai te tauratarangi kia tīna, kia whina, kia tuku manawa ora. Tīna tuku manawa kia rangi nui e tūnei, tīna tuku manawa kia papatūna ki e tako tōnei. Whakanoho ki te manawa tīna, whakanoho ki te manawa tuka, whanno, haramai te tauki, haumi e, hui e, tai kia. Ka pai, kia ora.
Kia ora whānau. I missed a bit to make it easier for you. So I'm now going to make this a little bit easier. We have got a lot of people here to support you. We have MPI for animal welfare questions. NPI, can you just put your hand up? Here's NPI, NPI for animal welfare. We have Insurance Council reps, AIG. Here they are over this side. So here's all your Insurance Council, your residential advisory service for insurance advice as well. They're over in this part of the stadium. Kāinga ora, where's Dale? I saw Dale before. Kāinga ora. We'll track Kāinga ora down in a moment. We've got MSD. Where is MSD? MSD are near the door. There they are. That's MSD. They're over there. The building team, where are you? Building team is over here, to the side of the stage. Geotech is also over here. Public health. Where's public health? We got public health. Here they are. Look at the public health team up the back. Any questions for public health? And primary health in the same place. Brilliant. And then we've got EQC. EQC is over here with Insurance Matters and Rural Support Trust. Rural Support Trust, Richard. Where is Richard? He is here. We'll find him. All right, there he is. Richard, are you Rural Support Trust? You are. Over here with MPI. All right, that's where the people are, so you can go and ask your questions. And if you're not sure who to ask, I will be at the bottom of the steps here and do my best to direct you to the right place. Kia ora tātou.